I won't be able to find you. There she is. Look, you look exactly like you did this morning, but in daylight. So Lauren and I
my car.
Exactly. I did a similar. Who can you hardly hear? Some people think I can hardly hear you. I don't know if they mean me or you. I can hear you really clearly, so I'm assuming that they mean me. Hold on. It don't really matter because they can hear me all the time. Can hear me both fine. You can. Okay. Can everyone hear me better now? Just let me know. Bethany, you can hear me fine. Charlotte, Kate, can hear me fine. Okay, cool. Right, let's crack on then. So I'm going to leave you spotlight so that I can just see your beautiful face, but also Molly wanted to say hi. She's literally setting up a den behind me here so that she can so she can see you on the call. She's not going to be able to hear you. She doesn't have the headphones in, so you might as well sit on my knee in a minute. Anyway, so guys, thank you very much for jumping on. Thanks for being patient while we got ourselves set up and ready. So there's so Lauren and I have been friends in the business, so we're sidelines to each other. We've got no kind of financial interest, if you like, in each other's businesses. We're just sideline buddies and actual like real life friends too. We met probably the first time I think when I went, we met briefly at Birmingham conference in 2016, but didn't really spend any time together. There's just some sort of selfies of us together, but I don't really remember them being taken. And then obviously I went over to Australia last September, and we spent like a little bit of time together there at the 90-day game plan, which was just incredible. And then we kind of just, you know, when you just click with somebody, and Lauren has been like my real go-to girl pretty much for a lot of things ever since then. So we were in each other's team groups. We sort of support each other from the other side of the world. If I need a cuddle or a kick up the bum, Lauren's often the person I go to for either or both of those things. And just a real inspiration to me. You know, completely different stories, completely different business stories, completely different backgrounds, but both have a massive work ethic, which I think is the reason that we get on, and they both have a massive passion for helping other people to achieve everything that they want to achieve in this business. So we've got just under 200 people on the call, Lauren, so no pressure. But lots of people from the business. I've invited a couple of other people from other teams as well on. I thought it was the more people that could benefit from hearing from you, the better. And you know, I really want to give this time over to you because you're, you know, for me, I always call you my little Australian pocket rocket. Like, you've built an incredible business over there in like 3 years, but you're also like a very sensible head on relatively young shoulders. You've got a great team of people. I see all the work that you do in your team groups, and it's absolutely incredible how you inspire all of the women around you that are in your team. I know it's mostly women. Lauren's upline are Adam Westwick and Linda Evenden, so an incredibly good line of people that you come from there as well. So a real example of what duplication is in our business, and also what's possible, because the Australian business at the moment and for the last few years has absolutely been flying and on fire. And I look at like the number of what you call SDVFs, what we call SDDs coming through the business, and it's absolutely mind-boggling. So I want you to just, if you would, just share a little bit about your story with us first. I'm going to get you to talk a little bit later on about like the importance of mindset. I know you're a real Tony Robbins kind of fan. You've done UPW, a couple of our junkies, yeah, probably the right word. And so I'm definitely going to get you to share some of your thoughts around that and how important mindset and self-belief is in our business. Because that's the stuff, you know, I said it this morning on the call similar call I did for Lauren's team this morning, that, you know, we can talk about what you actually have to do to build a business over and over and over. That doesn't really change, but what you've got going on between your ears is the most important part. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Lauren. Why tell us about your business story, your product story. Tell us about Lauren and how have you got to where you're at right now?
So just for the, thank you for the introduction. I'm like, can I go now? I feel like I can't follow that introduction, but hopefully you guys can understand me. Yes, I'm in my car at 7 a.m. here, and I have to go to personal training. I used to be a PT. Now I have a PT. I think that's the beauty of this business. I got to leave that behind, and now I get to pay someone to kick my butt, which is good. So I am literally, sorry, I am in my car, but I have to go to PT at 8:30. So I thought, why not do this call? And it looks like I live in my car. I've got my shake here, so I can drink it before I go. And a little bit about my story. So I am 29. I love that Emma said relatively young shoulders. I'm 30 in 14 weeks. So in February of next year, I turn 30. I've been in this business now since May of 2014. I love England. Probably why I go back to your conferences and build team over there. I used to live in England, so my background is I finished high school and I went to university and I did all the things that you think you should do. You know, I laugh now. I actually went and did 3.5 years of a 5-year law degree. And I laugh now that I'm like, I have a soul. I could never do that. But I went and did that because that's what you do, right? You go to school, you get an education, you go to university, and 3.5 years into my degree, I was like, why am I doing this? Right? I don't actually want to do this. I don't know what I want to do. Why did I even start this? And I went traveling. What was meant to be 6 months abroad, I spent 5.5 years. I lived in America for 3 years. When I couldn't hold that visa anymore, I applied for my UK visa, fingers crossed, and I got to live there. So 2.5 years after moving to the UK, I had to come back home. My visa ran out. I didn't find Prince Harry to marry, unfortunately. And then I moved home 2013 begrudgingly, but everything happens for a reason. And I think, you know, so many times in life we look at things and we only see the negative instead of seeing the positive. And, you know, I'm not saying I would never have found Juice Plus without coming back home, but I definitely feel like I had to lead that path. So I came back home. You know, who's ever had, I know England, you know, price of living is expensive. Who's ever worked more than one job just to get by? You know, just to pay the bills. You literally work so much, you have money, but you have no time to enjoy it. That's literally what I had to do when I moved home, because I don't share this very often because I was like so ashamed of it, but I had $900, whatever pounds that was, but I had $900 to my name. Now I was 26 when I moved home, and you know, I moved back to Australia. I moved back in with my parents because I was like, oh my God, I have no money. I have to start again. You know, I didn't finish university, and I kind of came to this realization of like, holy crap, what have I done with my life? I never, ever, ever, you know, would take that back because I got to see the world. And when I moved back home and I started working 3 jobs, I went and did my personal training degree. I've been independent for so long that borrowing money to be able to do that degree was just soul destroying, that I paid it back within like weeks to my dad. But really, and then I got into personal training, and that's where I met Adam. He was actually my boss at a gym that I worked at, and within 6 months of working there, I had to get 2 other jobs just to make ends meet, because PT, if you know one, if you've had one, if you've ever been one, it is not, I guess, the stablest of incomes. You know, 1 week I'd get paid. If I turned up to work, I'd get paid. If I didn't turn up to work, I wouldn't get paid. And so I really came to the realization of like, if I want to be a personal trainer, if I want to make this work, then I'm going to have other jobs. That is just how it's going to have to be. So I was working 2 jobs every weekday. I was personal training and I was working 2 10-hour shifts back to back on a weekend. Literally 26 with no life. Yes, I was making good money, but most of it was getting taxed anyway, because obviously 3 jobs, not so great. And then I came across Juice Plus. You know, I guess at that stage in my life, my health was actually really bad. When I lived in England, I came to the realization that I was overweight and I was sick and tired of it. So I actually lost 37 kilos, but I did it the most deprivational way. I got, you know, my hands on every fat burner pill you've ever probably come across, every fad. You know, who's yo-yo dieted before? That's why I love our product. It's natural. And it really meets people where they're at, and it's not a fad, it's not a diet, it literally is fruits and vegetables, it's timeless, you know. And so when I came across this business, I was introduced to the business first as a way to travel, because I kind of came to the realization that I was the lucky one, right? I was 21 when I moved abroad, and I was lucky. I got to see, you know, more of the world than most people get to see in their life. I was a nanny in the UK, so I actually had a really great life. I lived down south. I lived in Surrey. I worked for a very affluent family. I loved the boys. I still keep in contact with them to this day. I raised their second child from birth, and I got to, you know, fly around the world with them and all of their fancy homes across Europe. And so I had a good life, and then I had to trade that in when I moved home. And I was like, my God, flying in economy again? What is this? And I kind of had this level of life, but when I looked at their life, when I looked at the family's life that I worked for in England, I was like, they literally work their asses off for every cent that they make. And don't get me wrong, they were super duper wealthy. And, you know, 3 Range Rovers in the driveway, beautiful homes around Europe, but they traded that for time. And I raised their kids. And I was just like, you know what? If I ever have children, that's not what I want. You know, I want to be there. I want to raise them. And it kind of gave me that, I guess, that highlight of like, you know what? Like, I want all the fancy things. I want the quality of life, but they don't have a quality of life because they truly can't enjoy it. And they can't have that one thing you will never get back, which is time. And when I was working 70+ hour work weeks, you know, 3 jobs, and literally if I wasn't driving to work, if I wasn't at work, I literally was eating or sleeping, and it was like repeat. I was 26 and I was like, is this all there is to life? Is this it, right? Is this what I'm going to do? Because you know what? I can do it for the next 5 years, 10 years, but I don't think I can do it past that. And you know what? I'm not passionate. I hated my other 2 jobs. I loved personal training. And so when I came across the business, it was from a perspective to travel more. Okay, that's what I had, this idea of like, I want to travel, but I'm the lucky one. I got to travel for 5 years, and you know what? When I retire, I'll be able to travel again, which is kind of where my parents are at, right? My dad just retired, and every 2 years they plan really lovely trips, and my dad loves to spend money like I do. So, you know, they are great, but it's like every 2 years I want to travel like whenever I want to. And so I went to an event. Now, this is when the UK was like taking off, and Linda was smart. And she went and made friends with people like Emma Seddon, and, you know, John Holowati and all of you guys. And she was just like, she'd been in the business for like 5 years. You know, what young people like, you know, the likes of like Olivia Charlotte Measures and all of that were doing. She was like, I've literally stayed in line for so long. Like, why? How are they doing that? So she went and made friends with them at a conference. And actually, someone who's not in the business anymore, came to Australia, yeah, and he shared what you guys are doing in the terms of the event that we do. And I went along, and there were 6 people in a room in Linda's lounge room, and I saw something. Now, it wasn't the presentation, because that didn't make sense to me at the time, and I kind of had my arms folded, and I was like, and Adam took me, and he had his arms folded, and I'm like, well, like, if he doesn't get it. But there was something that made sense, and that was the stories. And actually, the person that presented it really resonated with me. You know, he was a personal trainer and definitely, like, you know, living a pretty cool life at the time. And I thought, you know what, there's something to this. But it was the people, right? There was no, like, credit card sign at the door. And I was actually looking at different companies. No one really knew that at the time. Because I really was looking for something. I was looking for more, you know, having a bit more time freedom and having a bit more extra money. And you know what? At the event, I was like, I got nothing to lose. I was that crazy person that didn't say no for 6 months, 12 months to Adam said no to Linda for 2.5 years. You know, I wasn't that person. I was kind of the person that was like, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I'm jumping in. And so I signed up, you know, that week. And, you know, I came into this business for $500 a month. If I could get $500 a month, then I could go on one, that's, you know, $6,000 a year. I could go on one really nice holiday back to the UK every Christmas. And that's all I wanted. You know, if I could go back to the UK every, you know, winter, I love winter, I love snow, I miss it. If I could go back to the UK every single Christmas, you know, stay in a nice hotel, spend a month abroad, you know, and do that, then that was me made, and I could leave my weekend job and have my weekends back. That's all I wanted. Now, what I could earn in a year, which was $6,000 in my head, I made in 9 weeks. I got to SC, I'd helped a couple of people. In bonuses, retail, and commission, I'd earned $6,500 in 9 weeks. And I was like, maybe there's something to this. Maybe if I actually use my work ethic that I have in every other shitty job I've ever had, right? I've worked retail, I've worked hospitality, I've nannied, you know, I've worked summer camps. That's what I did in the US. I've done recruitment before. You know, I've done lots of jobs, and I was like, I've always had a strong work ethic. I think, you know, Emma said it before. That's why we resonated, because I want to be the best at anything, or near the best, right? I want to be the best at anything that I kind of put my mind to. I really want to give it all I've got. And why do that for someone else? you know, when I was personal training, I'd bust my butt, and I love Adam, but there was only so much money that he could give me. There was only so much that I could do, and there was only so far that I could reach in that business. In this business, you have like the golden ticket. Think about Willy Wonka, right? You got the golden ticket in your hand. If you have a work ethic and you have commitment and you have dedication, then sky's the limit for you. Sky's the limit for other people, but you can really achieve what you want to achieve in this business if you really want to. So after that, after the first 9 weeks, you know, I actually got on a plane I went to Sydney conference. I actually met Mike Sneddon before I met Emma. 4 days into the business, he came to Sydney conference, and I was literally told by Linda, if you want to make this business successful, then you're going to come to conference. And at that stage, I was a weekend. I was like, you crazy lady. You know, I'm not getting on a plane to Sydney. Now, Sydney's only an hour away from me on an airplane, but still. And I was just like, no. And then I was like, you know what? I'll do it. I like a good party. I'll do it. So, and they're like, our conferences are really small. Yeah, our conferences are small still compared to yours, but, you know, there were 250 people at the Swiss Hotel in Sydney, and I was like, is this it? But there was, and Linda got her she did her NMD speech, and it was really great. You know, now we can feel like the convention center on the Gold Coast, and it's incredible. But, you know, it did start off small, and then I got on a plane. In October, I'd been in the business 3 months. I was an SC, and I went to Memphis in the US, right? And so I didn't have the money. I had to borrow money from my brother. Thank goodness for brother, right? I had to borrow money from my brother for accommodation. I could afford my flight from like money that I'd made in Juice Plus at that stage. And I got on, and I literally remember going over and like going, yeah, I've seen a conference. And then I walked into the US. There's like 8,000 people. If you've ever been to a US conference, it's like mental. You know, times yours by a little bit as well. And it's like 8,000 crazy Americans and people from across the world. And, you know, actually that's where I met like James Knight, and I met and that's where I met Jeff Roberti. And, you know, Jeff Roberti sponsored Lauren Slocum, who, you know, obviously sponsored Linda. And I was like, man, this is it. And that was it. After that, it was like brain damage, Juice Plus, couldn't sleep. And I was like, you know what? And I believed, like I heard NMD speeches, they always say, right, it's not the facts that you learn about the product, and, you know, it's fruits and veggies, could it be any freaking simpler? It's not the facts that you learn at something like that. It's not, you know, the people up on stage and talking about the comp plan, right? I still don't understand it sometimes to this day, but it truly is the relationships that you build, you know, in the toilet line, but it really is how people make you feel. And I remember listening to a couple of NMD speeches and going, you know what? I'm smart. There's like, I could do that. Now, I didn't believe how. I didn't know how. I believed that I could do it. And, you know, when I really just got laser focused and I got SC done, and that's actually when I went to the UK, I got to really go back for 2 weeks, see the family. I actually went to Bournemouth conference. Not Bournemouth, sorry, that was Birmingham. Up the top, and then I got to QNMD. You know, within, I don't know, I'm not Emma Senema. I didn't get to the top in 7 months, but, you know, I don't know, maybe that took me like a year, 18 months, and then I was NMD within 2 years. So I got to NMD last June. I'm an NMD, like our team's an NMD 50 club. You know, on the way to 100, but really, like, whether it takes you 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, do you know that there's nothing else that you can do? I don't know if you really understand, right? In Australia, I know it's a bit different in the UK, but same. In Australia, an NMD position, you know, if you've built it sustainably and, you know, you've got a good club level as well, it can be a 6-figure income. So in Australia, most NMDs these days, you know, are getting around $80,000 to $100,000 per annum. Now, that is residual income. That's something that if you've built it sustainably. Now, I work in my business, don't get me wrong. Yeah, people say I work harder than a full-time job sometimes, and I'm like, really? I can do it in my car. It's really not that bad. But it really, really $80,000 to $100,000. If you wanted to build that in any other passive income stream, so if you wanted to own property, now property is way more expensive in the UK than it is in Australia, but it's pretty pricey here too, right? If you wanted to buy property, do you know, to build that passively, to get rent from tenants, right, to build that passively, you have to own in Australia $2 million, not mortgaged, $2 million outright. You have a business for £50. We $165 in Australia, so again, exchange rate pretty much the same. $165 that I could earn that back within my first 24 hours. That I then was making profit. There's not many businesses out there that I didn't need a degree or skill for. Yeah, that I could come in, that every single person has 24 hours in a day, that every single person has, I guess the same opportunity to I guess achieve what they want to achieve. Now, whether you come in like me and want an extra $500 a month, whether you want to come in and change your whole life, whether you want to come in, and get your products a bit cheaper and get your family healthier, I don't care. But you have a golden opportunity in your hand. So you have to get really clear on what you want from it. And really that became me. Then I became obsessed. Then I guess I really want to come from the perspective too of there might be some people on this call that feel challenged right now, that they're stuck. Hate that word. I slap you in my team if you use it. And I really want to challenge you on this. And I want to challenge some of your beliefs that you're not stuck. You're just challenged. And every challenge has a solution. Okay? Every single challenge in this life has a solution if you're resourceful enough to look for it. Now, it's not the lack of resources that make people unsuccessful in this business, that make people quit, right? That make people go, oh, I'm not that person. I'm not Emma, right? I'm not John Holowati. Dude, like, I put John on this pedestal and then I met him and I'm like, oh, he's just a dude. He's a really cool guy with an infectious personality. And that's why he's been able to build an incredible business, because he genuinely cares for people. And, if you guys have met John, obviously you probably have, you get that. You get that about Emma. The people that succeed in this business, they have drive, they have determination, they have resilience, right? Tenacity. These are all the words that I think of that people are successful in this business. But above all, I love to use acronyms, and they have an acronym and they live by it called WIFM. What's in it for them? Not what's in it for me. If I focus on me, I'll get nowhere in this business. If you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone, right? But you can't get far in this business if you go alone, right? It really does come down to who you're prepared to help and who you really are helping in this business. But I really understood that I guess, it really does come down to tenacity. It does come down to commitment, and above all, consistency. It's not doing like 1,000 things once and expecting success, right? It's not doing, what have you ever done for a year in your life? Like, people give up after 1 week. It's like, what have you ever done a year in your life and been freaking awesome at? Me, nothing. Like, it takes time. So take a breath and give yourself time and give yourself some self-love and go, you know what? Whether it takes me 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I'm going to stay in my lane, right? You look at Linda. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to put my, what does she call them? Her focus goggles on, right? Linda did a funny training once where she literally had props and she put goggles on. She's like, stay in your own lane. Swimmers, yeah, you watch any Olympic swimmer, are they looking to the person beside them to see where they're at? Are they looking to the left? Are they looking to the right? Are they looking behind? No, that's going to lose them a race. People win races for like 0.001 milliseconds. Yeah, you look at any incredible Olympian that is a master of their craft. Yeah, they're not looking side to side. They're like looking straight ahead. Where's the wall, right? Where's the finish line? And they're in their own race, right? They're really just trying to better themselves. Yes, they want to win, but they're trying to better themselves. They're in their own lane. Stay in your own lane and stop comparing yourself and looking on the outside, because it's the thief of all joy. And I did it for so long, right? I did it for so long and I was stuck and I was challenged. And I really want to challenge your belief and say, you're not stuck. Right? You're just being unresourceful. It's not the lack of resources. This is my Tony Robbins junkie coming out, because this is my favorite line that I've ever heard him say. It's not the lack of resources that make people unsuccessful. Do you agree that you have so many resources at hand? You know, you've got all the Zoom calls that we do. You know, you've got all the events. You've got all the how-to, right? Talk to people. Be a master asker of great questions. Love on people, yeah, and invite to events, and you'll build a successful business. But it's not the lack of resources that make you unsuccessful. People blame, shame, and justify. My upline didn't do this for me. You know, my team is shit. Sorry if you have kids. Hopefully they're asleep. You know, my team are crap. And you get frustrated about all these resources, yet look in the mirror and go, am I being resourceful? And am I, like, go and emulate someone that you resonate with in this business? You've seen it. The proof is in the pudding. How many people need to be successful for you to go like, oh my God, I can do it too. If I really just stay in my own lane and I get really clear and really focused on what I want. And I just want to say one more thing before Emma asks me another question, because I'm like, oh yeah, this was just sharing my story. I go off on rants. I'm like the doll that you like turn and you just like let her go and she'll talk about something. But you know, people really do things for one of two reasons. Okay, to avoid pain or gain pleasure. You think about anything, and I always go back to kind of the fitness world because that's what I lived in for so long. You know, you think about the gym. People make New Year's resolutions and it's about to happen, right? We're in November. It's about to happen. Wind it up. You know, your gym will be crammed for like the first week of January and then it'll be back to normal. Because people make New Year's resolutions like, I'm going to be really fit this year. You know, I'm going to lose 20 kilos. Like whatever it might be. And they make these crazy resolutions. Why? Because someone told them they had to. And where they are right now is painful, but does the pain, because you do things for one or two reasons, right? If the pain of where you are right now, and I'm just going to talk about fitness for a second, and I'm going to relate it back to the business. If the pain of where you are right now in your body, physically, you know, emotionally, all of that sort of stuff, if the pain of where you are right now does not exceed the pain of getting up early, going to the gym, yeah, going to the gym, paying for a personal trainer, so being out of pocket and really investing money and time, right? The pain of exercising, I'm sorry, like I know Emma's like fitter than I am, but like it's painful. The pain of exercising, you know, all of that. If the pain of where you are right now doesn't exceed the pain of going and doing that, you won't do it. You will quit. Right? Because you do things of one or two reasons, to like get away from pain or to gain pleasure. So if there's no pleasure, if you're not seeing results, right, you'll quit. If you're not seeing results, if there's no pleasure to what you're doing, you know, as in emotionally, physically, mentally, right, you're going to quit. So in this business, right, it's the same thing. People quit because sometimes the pain of where they are, financially, emotionally, whatever, it might be bad. But is it worse, right? Does it exceed the pain, right? That getting outside your comfort zone, talking to people you don't know, right? Sacrificing time in the short term to gain time in the long term. Yeah. Or if you're not getting any pleasure from it, yeah, if your needs aren't being met, then people quit. So it's about getting people to focus, getting people to know exactly, right, what they need, what they want from this. So people make fluffy goals like, I want financial freedom. Financial freedom to me is very different to financial freedom to Emma Sneddon, right? 3 kids, a husband, right? She lives a level of life that I don't live yet. So my financial freedom might be $5,000 a month, where her financial freedom might be $20,000 a month. Do you see that they're really different? So making a fluffy goal like, I want financial freedom, what the F does that even mean, right? What does that even mean? Because it means different things for people. So, you know, when people come to me in this business and they're like, you know, I want more time with my kids, I'm like, awesome. Like, where are you right now? And they're like, well, I'm working and I'd love to cut back 1 day a week. And I'm like, awesome. What do you need? What do you need financially to do that? And they're like, $500 a fortnight. I'm like, okay, you need $1,000 a month. I can map that out in this business. And then they're on target, then they're on goal, and they're like, okay, now whether it takes me 1 week, 2 weeks, 5 years to achieve that, obviously people want instant gratification in this day and age. That's the world we live in. But, you know, then they're on target. Then they're focused and they can stay in their own lane. And I really want to challenge you guys that if you're frustrated or challenged right now, are you challenged because you want more? Are you challenged because are you challenged because you're not playing at the level that you want to play at? And I ask why. Are you challenged right now because you've hit your goal and you're like, oh, well, if I can do $2,000 a month, then I want more. And sometimes, and this happens over here a lot because people move so fast now and that never happened, and they kind of get in this like, they've hit their goal, right? They had a goal of $500 a month and they hit it, and now they're beating themselves up because they don't feel successful. Why? Because they're comparing themselves, because they've caught up in the hype. It's cool to want more, right? Once you hit a goal, of course, the level changes. You know, you raise the bar, you raise the standard of what you want. And you go, you know what? It's okay to want more. But you can't beat yourself up because you've already achieved your goal. So celebrate that success and then set another goal. Raise the standard, raise the bar, set a plan in place and achieve that. And then guess what? When you get there, I promise you the bar will raise again. Right? But you always, that's growth, that's living, that's fulfillment. Right? If you're not living, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I don't mean physically, I mean part of your soul. Because the art, right, of fulfillment is truly about growth. So really growing yourself. And until you grow yourself, your business will not grow. And so when I got focused, my business, and you might be sitting there and you might be challenged right now, when I got focused on all of that, and I grew and I started really every single day, not BSing myself and plugging in and doing my personal development, my business went from a stuck SSC 3 club. I sat there for so long, yeah, and then I went from from SSC in September to QNMD in December in 2015, and then I went from 3 club to 8 club to 24 club to 39 club to 50 club plus, right? And now I've been challenged and stuck at 50 club for the last year, but you know what? It's kind of a nice paycheck to be stuck at. But I really understood that I needed to raise the standard. I needed to raise the bar. I needed to get focused. And you know what? I'd worked really hard for 2 years and I kind of just needed a breath for 3 months and to reset and refocus. But I was focused. Do you understand that when my business went from SSC 3 club to NMD 50 club in literally 6 months, 6.5 months, right? And I'd been challenged for a year. It was because I decided to step up and stop BSing myself and telling myself I was busy and working and get focused on the high-paying activities and get focused on growing myself and get focused on not my goal, but what could I help other people achieve? It's cool to want 100 club. It's cool to want 50 club. It's cool to want whatever you want. But then you've got to reverse engineer it and go, if I want 50 club, who am I helping get to 3 club? Who am I helping get to 12 club? Right? And I'm sorry if you're new and you're like, what the hell is a club? But, so yeah, I'm going to stop there and you can ask me another question.
I don't need to ask you anything. That's amazing. I don't know whether you've seen all the comments and everything, but I mean, obviously I'm really lucky I get to speak to you all the time, and probably all these people on the call are going, oh, it's literally just all the stuff that Emma says. So now they know where I get it from. No, a lot of it comes
get it from somewhere else.
Well, it's about the people you surround yourself with, isn't it? You know, if you surround yourself with people who make you feel empowered, then you become an empowering person, and that's really really incredibly inspiring. And I love all of that stuff, and I love all of the fact, you know, there's the importance of, exactly the same. I cannot bear the word I'm stuck or the phrase I'm stuck. So I've kind of, whenever I hear it or hear anybody say it, and I think, oh, you are not a tree. Like, you're not stuck in the ground. I talked about it on our call this morning about people concrete themselves into this big hole that they've dug. They build a big and get into it and then concrete themselves back into it and go like, I'm stuck here now. And you're never stuck anywhere. It's all about the energy that you have and the action that you take. And I'm going to use that now. You were challenged for a year potentially, but not stuck for a year. And it's actually all about what's going on in your head. And what I was going to ask you about actually was, because I know that there are a lot of people in the business who feel challenged at times, feel that they are doing, you'll have it in your team as well, I'm sure, where they come to you and they're like, and it's genuinely feel like they're doing everything you tell them to do, but they're not moving forward. And there'll be people on the call I know who know what I mean. It's like, they're like, I'm doing all the things, that I'm on all the calls, and I'm honestly, genuinely, as far as like doing all the things, but I'm not moving forward. And I think that is what people find frustrating. And I know that that's where you were. And you and I have talked about this before, because all I ever think is you can't actually genuinely be doing everything you need to be doing, because if you were, you would be moving forward. So it's all about the mindset stuff. So what was it about that year that you were sort of stuck at 8 Club for such a long time? And then you obviously had that massive change of mindset, because I want you to kind of explore that a little bit more and talk a little bit about self-responsibility. So you mentioned a little bit about blame, shame and justify a little bit earlier, which I want you to try and go into a little bit more, because I think it's really important. You don't have to kind of draw it all out, but just explain it for us, what it means and what you were doing, because what you did was took responsibility for your own business. And that was what changed it for you, in my opinion.
I'm like, I could draw it. I've got my whiteboard in the back of the car. I always have one in case I get stuck somewhere. I love it. I just actually saw a comment. She can talk for Australia and England. It is true. I usually have a really husky voice all the time because I just don't shut up. But, I guess I always wanted to be paid to speak. So I guess, it's pretty cool. But it is true. I was challenged for a year, and I was the biggest, I say this in respect, but I was the biggest Debbie Downer there was. And I really think people buy you in this business. And I shared it in Anaheim when I did my NMD speech. And people buy you. We have network marketing is very interesting, right? It is really, really interesting. So you all have the same product, yeah? So a lot of businesses can thrive off, give me 2 seconds. A lot of businesses thrive off their selling point. So, their marketability based on, I guess what they have to offer. Yet we all offer the same-ish thing, right? We all have the same product. We all have relatively, we all have programs behind what we do, healthy living programs or whatnot. The company, we don't pay people, right? So we can't offer people more money. We all have the same compensation plan. Yeah, the only differentiating factor in this business is ourselves. So you have to look in the mirror and go, why am I not attracting any customers? Now, whether you believe in whatever you believe, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in the universe, there is something greater than us, right? There is something bigger than us. Now, I actually went to a very strict Catholic college, but I actually believe a lot in the universe. And what you put out is what you will attract. So if you, aren't, I guess, being inspiring and, you've got low energy, then that's what you're going to attract. You're not going to attract the people that you want into this business, be it customers, be it business people, because you're not putting it out there. So you really have to look in the mirror. And so I had to look in the mirror. I did one course that literally changed my life. He is Irish, but he lives here in Australia. His name is Mitch Behan, Bhan. Now, his business is called MJB Seminars. No, I am not paid to recommend them, but the amount of people that I send, to their events, I should be paid a commission. That's the beauty of our business. We're paid to recommend something we love. But I literally went and did relationships and now I don't think he does any events in the UK, but you can go and follow him and his content's amazing. And it really, it changed my life, and I had to look in the mirror and actually did this course and this with Linda. So I've never put Linda up on a pedestal in this business because I kind of was in the room and I was like, oh, she's got shit just like I do, right? And so I kind of never put her, because who you put on a pedestal, so if you're pedestaling Emma right now, if you're pedestaling, I don't know if that's a word, me, if you're pedestaling John, you know, any of your incredible, inspiring leaders, and you're all leaders in your own right? If you're putting people on a pedestal, then you ultimately put yourself in a pit, right? You ultimately think less of yourself. Instead of just seeing all of us on level playing fields and going, you're in your chapter 1 right now and I'm in my chapter 3 years down the track. Yeah, and so really understanding, own where you're at, know that you want to grow, but that's okay to own where you're at and going, you know what can I learn? It really is about asking yourself inspiring, right, high quality questions. You wouldn't, and I know what goes on in my own head sometimes, you wouldn't talk to your mum, your kids, your husband, you probably wouldn't have one if you did, right? Your wife, whatever. You wouldn't speak to anyone, your best friend, like you speak to yourself. And yet we want so much from ourselves, right? We want to be all these incredible things, yet low-level priority BS takes over our mind. This thing here is survival software. It's not meant to keep you happy. It's meant to keep you alive, right? Fight or flight. That's exactly what our brain is. It literally, you ask it a question, it has to give you an answer. So when someone says no and you beat yourself up, you know, when someone, you know, is a neg ferret about our business, or, you know, when someone, I guess, like shoots us down, or someone leaves the business, we beat ourselves up. And instead of going, what can I learn from this? Right? You know, like, what's the blessing in this? What can I take away to be better and grow? We beat ourselves up and we go, oh, I'm a shit leader, or, you know, see, I told you couldn't do this. And then we fall into the trap and it becomes a cycle. And the story, right? We all have a story, and I don't tell mine anymore, so I'm not going to tell it. But we all have a story that meets our needs, that keeps us safe. Because you know what? You could sit here and BS yourself that you're scared or you're fearful of failure, but you're more fearful of success. Of like, if I'm successful, will people still love me? People's two biggest fears of, you know, will, what's the, oh my God, literally mental blank, is that I'm not good enough and I won't be loved. I'm like, oh my God, seriously, mental blank. They're people too, like, deep down, and that's what keeps us all on the same level playing field, because we all have it. We might not speak about it, but every single thing we do leads back to that. You know, are we worth it? Are we good enough? And if we're not good enough, will we be loved? Right? Will we be loved? And it's like, oh my God. And that's like, all of us do that. So, you know, some people in this business, their best friend will shoot them down. And so they instantly, subconsciously, they don't even consciously aware of it, that they're like, oh my God, you know, if my best friend doesn't like what I'm doing, therefore, like, will she still love me, or will we still be friends? And your fear of loss, less or never, right? You'll lose something, you'll have less of something, less love, less friendship, less social time, less connection, or you'll never have it and you won't do it, right? They're superseded deep fears, instead of just going, you know what? Their opinions of me, if they're a true friend, they don't need to take the product, they don't need to love the business, but they will support you. So really understanding that in that time of challengement and growth, I had to grow to become, I couldn't handle the business that I have now, right? I couldn't have handled it back then. Even though I said I wanted, I couldn't handle it because I hadn't learned to handle what I had already. So until you learn to handle and appreciate and have true gratitude, even if it's just one customer, one person had enough trust and belief in you to jump on the product, to believe you, to, like, you know, they trusted you. Know, like, and trust. I know Emma said it on my call. You know, you've got to have gratitude, and I mean true gratitude, not just like, yeah, I'm grateful, right? True gratitude of, like, you know, for what you have now, until you can have more. And to be able to have more in your business, to be able to grow, then you've got to grow as a person. Then you've got to start making sure that when challenges arise, instead of faltering back into the old habits, and like, habits can be created, I say 14 to 21 days, right? And it's not gonna, you're not gonna click your fingers, and it's not gonna magically just be okay. You're gonna really have to work at this. But when things and challenges arise, right, when things come up, it's literally about take a breath, right, and ask yourself a more high priority quality question that you're going to get a better answer. Because again, like I said, survival software, you ask it a question, it's going to give you an answer. If you ask it a shitty question, it's going to give you a shitty answer. If you ask it a good quality question of like, oh my God, what do I need to learn from this? You know, what's the blessing? Linda calls them blessings because she put two other blessings. So she put those two together and like, what's the blessing that I need to learn from this? And so in that time, I think about two key things that happened that changed my business. Obviously, I threw myself into personal development. I spent thousands, and I mean, you know, in Tony Robbins' world alone, I've spent $25,000. You know, $25,000 that I have now, but in the beginning, money that I didn't have, I put on credit cards, and I was like, I'll find a way to pay it back, because I really understood. Now, you don't need to go and do that. Don't put yourself in debt, right? But really, I understood that personal development was truly the key that was going to unlock my success if I took action on it. If I, you know, I guess actually practiced it every day. If I really, really played at a high level. So I really ask you that in my year of being challenged, and I still have challenges now, but I'm more equipped to deal with them. So I really look at that time and I go, what really changed it? And it was truly owning who I was, because I tried to be someone I wasn't. When I'd get up to events, I love to speak, right? Events are my passion. I say, like, find what you love to do in this business and do that, right? And so I love events. So I built my business off events. I love to talk, right? So I built my business off obviously talking to people. Yet if you don't love to talk, then you need to change that belief. Right? You need to change that belief because it's about talking to people. And so I really understood that I needed a suit of armor. And so if I can give you one tool, right, it was, and I know John does this. So he says, write out the superhero version of yourself. And I love that. So I kind of, without even hearing John and doing that, that's kind of what I did. So I had a suit of armor that literally habits and new habits take time to create. So I had a suit of armor that I put on every single day, okay, because I was so caught up in what people thought of me, and I was so caught up in trying to be Adam, right, and like the dude's got charisma, yeah, and then I got caught up trying to be Linda, and she's like elegant and graceful, and then I got to try like getting caught up in trying to be Lauren Slocum, and the chick's insane, right? We're very much the same person now that I look at it in very different ways. But instead of just going, no, like, what makes me me? What makes people want to join my business is me, not Adam, not Linda, not Lauren Slocum, not Jeff Roberti, not Emma Stedden. It's me. People want to join me. So who am I? And I had to get clear on that. And so the suit of armor that I wore every day, right, and their I am statements, in just a really cool way of saying it, is I am grateful, because I wasn't grateful for the challenges. You know, if, like, honestly, if you're going to be challenged, then you've got to find the gratitude in it. You've got to find the lesson in every challenge, right? You've got to find the beauty. You've got to find, because there is beauty in it, right? There is beauty in it. There is a lesson that you're not seeing right now in what you're challenged in, right? So see it. That's first. So I had to be grateful. So I am grateful. I am bold. Most of you look at me now and they're like, really? I remember standing up at a Scott Harris event, actually, and he's like, what have you got to work on? And I'm like, I'm bold. And he's like, what? Like, and it was an act, right? I can act very well, but what was going on in here was very different to how I was showing up. And that's unalignment. If you're not aligned and centered, people see it. Right? People see it, and it's BS. So I am bold. And literally, Linda shared this at conference in Melbourne, and I remember bursting into tears because she seriously, like, had the piece of paper that I wrote on. And there are people in your corner that believe in you more than you can believe in yourself. And Lauren Slocum hit me physically in the forehead. If you know Lauren, you know that that's true. hit me physically in the forehead. Now, I'm not saying go and hit your team. Definitely not. But she hit me in the forehead off guard. I was on my phone at a conference in Hamilton Island. And she goes, when are you going to see what we all see? You know, you're not living to your true potential, and it's not just costing you, it's costing every single person in your family. It's costing every single person that you've introduced to this business, because they're looking to you, right? They're looking to you. You've got a golden ticket in your hand to live the life that you want to live, and instead you're letting your potential fall to the ground, and it's not fair, not just to you, but to every single other person that depends on you, whether it's your team, whether it's your family. And I was like, who is this? Who is she? I hadn't met her. That was the first time I met her. But I hadn't met her, and I was like, oh my God. But it hit home. Like, it hit home like a ton of bricks, and I burst into tears. And it was because I wasn't living to my true potential, and that's soul destroying. Not just for you, right? Because you know what? You'll find a way. You'll find a way to feed your family. You'll find a way to put a roof over their head. You'll find a way to make ends meet. You'll find a way. You can work any job. Right? We can all go and do anything. But until you truly, and I mean truly, decide, commit, and resolve, you'll always be in this, like, I want to do this. I want to do this business. But there's always going to be, even if it's 1%, even if it's 0.3% of doubt or fear, then that will kill any, like, 99% of action. That will kill it all. So you really need to get aligned of, like, I decide, I commit, I resolve, and that's the place I had to get to. It took me a year. Don't let it take you a year, right? It took me a year to really get there. And then I don't hear the no's now, right? Like, to this day, it'll be 4 years this May. You know, when I see maybe a friend out and they're like, you know, and like, you can tell, and like, it's like the elephant in the room. And it's like, oh my God, are they going to, like, I want to share it with them, but you know what? They're like, are you still doing that thing? And I'm like, yep, 3.5 years on, and they must be terrible. It must be terrible. But, like, it doesn't waver anymore. My belief, it doesn't come in and out like it used to, because I'm just so aligned of, like, this is my goal. This is what I want. This is why I want it. I have a greater mission than me, right? I earn good money. I earn 4 times what I used to earn, you know, and I don't mention money to impress you at all, right? Because for me, money is just choices, to travel more, to do cool things. But, like, I earn 4 times what I used to earn working 70-hour work weeks, and I get to work whenever I want. And yes, I work hard, but, you know, it's like, it's hardly work at the same time. So, like, really understand that when you're in true alignment, yeah, and when you're on target and you're on focus, and you just truly wholeheartedly believe in the product, believe in the industry, believe in the company, believe in people, believe in yourself, that no one can push you off course. And then it's just a matter of, it's a next game. You find the people that want it, and you say next to the people that don't. And I don't mean that in a harsh way. I mean that there is no one that can stand between you and your dream, you and your just cause, okay? Because we all have, you know, sometimes we come into this business to pay for our rent or our mortgage, or to, you know, take the financial stress off a little bit, you know, and we achieve that, and then we want to, like, you know, save for the family holiday, and we achieve that, you know, and then we want to buy the nice car, and we achieve that, and then we want to, you know, upgrade the lifestyle in the house, and we achieve that. Once you pass the things, then it's about true wealth creation, to go and give more. Because, like, and this sounds so cliche when I say it, but the art of living is giving. You know, when do you feel most fulfilled? Because there's only so much you can feel physically in here, right? But when you achieve something cool, like, all I see on my newsfeed at the moment is babies, you know, what is her name? Is it Christine Lever? She just had a baby. Like, Katie and Luke just had a baby. Like, what is the one thing? And now, obviously, we don't need to call people. We just put it on social media. But you can only feel so much inside. But what is the one thing when something amazing happens in your life? What do you want to do? You want to share it, because then the feeling grows exponentially. So in this business, you know, when you've fulfilled all your whys and your dreams, you know, and taking care of yourself and your family, what do you want to do? You want to give more, because you want to like tenfold that experience. You want to amplify it. You want to exponentially grow it. So if you could earn more money, right? If you could earn more money, should you? Yes. Why? To give back, right? I call it tithing, right? To give, you know, to your favorite charity, you know, to buy your parents a home, to pay off their mortgage, to help them out with retirement. You know, again, I don't share this to impress you, but to impress upon you. I earn good money, right? I own my car, you know, obviously, you know, I pay rent, like all of that stuff. I don't own a house yet, but one day, when I have 2 feet planted on the ground and don't want to travel more, but, you know, I give my dad money. You know, every single month, I give him a certain amount of money. And he's retired, and so, like, obviously he has superannuation, but it's just, like, so he can go play golf, you know, so he can do the things he loves. He's spent his whole life giving to me, so of course I want to give back. So if you can be more, should you? Yes. Why? To give back more of yourself, to give more to your children, to give more to your husband, to give more to your freaking self. If you could earn more money, should you? Yes. Why? Because, like, honestly, you can give choices to other people. You could help build hospitals. You could help, you know, build schools in third world countries. I don't know what your thing is, but find your thing. And then it's like you're so unfocused, and it is a just cause. And Emma will watch the Scott Harris link and laugh because I stole that off him. Right? We all have a just cause. And, you know, really, like, it's the bigger mission. It's the bigger vision. Once you've created what you want to create, people, like, kind of settle. They settle, and then they let things dwindle, right? And then they're like, oh my God, I'm kind of back to square one. What happened? And it really is about being mission-driven and focused on the bigger vision of what you want to create from this, and going, you know what?
Not taking them. Not having great.
I need to earn more money. Like, I need to push myself to that next level. I need to go, you know what? I'm worth more. My family's worth more. You know, that charity's worth more. You know, if you guys don't know Tony Robbins' story, he came from nothing. And now he grosses $6 billion per year. Like, a dude that came from nothing, an abusive mother. You know, now he feeds 1 million people, 100 million people every Christmas. Why? Because he has a just cause. You know, could he sit on a beach and never talk to anyone again? Of course, right? The dude's a multi-billionaire. Yeah. Could Emma be like, you know what? I'm kind of happy with my income, right? No, because she's got that next level. She's got that bigger vision that keeps you hungry, that keeps you working. So I really had to have a suit of armor. It all comes back down to that. Every day that I put on, that I said when I was brushing my teeth, that I said, right, that I was in the shower in the morning and I was like, I am bold. I am grateful, right? I am like divine intuition. I don't mind what you have, like what your belief system is, but divine intuition, right? I am, what else was on that piece of paper? I am loved. Right, because I think my deep, darkest fear was, if I'm successful, you know, will I be leaving people behind, and will they still love me? And you know what? If they're true friends, if they're family, sometimes it's hard, but if they're true friends, you let them take their own path. Stop trying to shove Juice Plus down their throat. Stop trying to punish it because they don't get it. Stop trying to, like, you know, wish that they'd get it, then I could be successful. No, they're waiting to look at you and go, you know what, this girl has commitment. Right? My parents still don't get it. I put money in Dad's bank account every month, and I swear he still doesn't get it. He doesn't care as long as I'm happy. But it's just like, Lauren, when are you getting a real job? And I kind of thought I needed to make everyone else happy for me to be successful, that I had to get everyone else on board for me to be successful. No, right? I just needed to be successful. And then maybe they'd be like, they don't need to get it, right? They don't need to do it. They don't need to even really like it, but just let me do my thing. Just let me live my life. Because you know what? Does their opinions pay your bills? Do their opinions of what you're doing, right? Just because it's a little bit left of field, does that put food in your kids' stomachs? Does that send you on your family holiday to Disneyland? Does that pay for your mortgage? No? Then who gives, right? Because you know what? If you were out there working a job, I bet, right, because it's traditional, that they'd be supportive. But would they come, right, and give you money every single month to help you? No, right? Or maybe if they're good people. But no, right? So honestly, stop letting people's opinions, stop letting like BS stories. But I promise you this, and that's where I was going till I went off course. There is a story that you keep telling yourself, and it will have an underlying theme. They all come down to a couple of things. There's a story that you keep telling yourself, and it keeps you safe, right? And it serves needs. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this. I've done a call on it before, but we have 4 core needs and then 2 spiritual needs, okay? And this is, like Universe 101. We got 4 core needs. If you hit 3 of these, 2 to 3, if you hit 3, it's an addiction. And I was addicted to a story that kept me very safe, and it met 4 of my core needs. So it was a terrible addiction. Yeah, you think about anything. The need for certainty. So I was certain when I told this story, right, people would feel sorry for me. I would get a reaction. Now, the second core need is uncertainty. It makes no sense. I get it. So when we do things, we sometimes need to meet it for uncertainty. So you look at how spontaneous I am. It's because I love variety, which is uncertainty, right? And I crave it. So it didn't hit that. And then the need for love and connection. It was like, it's my top one. Yeah, everything I do is out of that. So a lot of people are like that. So when I told this story, I got love and connection from people because they would hug me and I'd meet that need, right? And then the need for significance. Holy hell, did I feel significant? Because I made someone else wrong and myself right, right? It was a bad breakup. Actually over in the UK. And I used to tell it, so people would be like, why, what's going on for you this month in business? And I'd break down and I'd tell the story over again. Like, why don't you have a boyfriend? And I'd tell the story over again. It was my story that kept me safe. And I didn't understand it was an addiction until I went to a Tony Robbins event, and he said, there is something that is, you're telling yourself, you're lying to yourself, you're telling other people, and it's a story, and it's keeping you safe, and you're addicted to it because it's meeting your needs. So think about a story that you're telling yourself. You might not tell it out loud, but you're telling yourself every single day. You're justifying why you're not successful. Sorry, that's a chuck. You're justifying why you're not successful in this business, and it's a story, and it keeps you safe. Why? Because you're addicted to it, because it meets your needs, and subconsciously you don't even know it. And I get that story.
I think I've lost her there, which is a bit annoying. Hold on. Just give it a second, see if she gets back on. Lauren, if you can hear me, you're kind of gone for a second. You've frozen. Can you guys hear me? Lynn, can you hear me okay? Is it Lauren's end? Yeah. Wi-Fi couldn't handle it.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just Lauren.
Okay, it must be Lauren's end. That's weird.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back. So you got as far as get that story and.
Oh dear. Yeah, get that story. I didn't say much more. Get that story, and it's like 1,000,000 degrees in Australia. I don't sweat because I talk so much. It's like 1,000 degrees and I'm sitting in the sun. Yeah, get that story, and then you've got to understand that it's meeting needs, and what needs is it meeting. Now, if you want someone else to explain that better than I have, go to YouTube and type in Tony Robbins, core human needs, and lots of videos will come up, and watch it. I'll give Emma some that I watch over and over again, but the dude's freaking genius. Like, I just love him, and he makes so much sense, and that, he's so smart. And when you really understand that, like, humans are very complex, but we're actually quite basic too, right? We all just want to be loved. We all want to feel worthy. And sometimes in this business, we can be made to feel unworthy. And we can be made to feel unloved, and that scares us, right? And so it really is, first you gotta love yourself, yeah? And you gotta feel worthy within yourself. And then it's really about just understanding that, we do things to serve our needs. And so you've really got, like, there is a story in there that you keep telling yourself or telling other people, and you justify why you're not successful. And you justify, and that comes down to the blame, shame, and justify game. So imagine a line here, right? And above the line is self-responsibility. And below the line, right, is blame, shame, and justify. So whatever we do in business, if we're not successful, if, we blame, so we point the finger outwards, and sometimes we do all three of these, but sometimes we stick to one. So we might blame our team. Our upline's not supportive. Our team are useless, right? Who's ever said that? Definitely, I'm probably said that once or twice. But really, you got to play above the line and take self-responsibility. Ask yourself a quality question to get yourself above the line. Sometimes we shame ourselves. I do it a lot, right? Where I'm not good enough, right? We tell ourselves all those BS limiting beliefs, and then we justify. Who's ever justified something so much you believe it, right? And you make a goal and not eating carbs for a month, and then you're sitting on the couch and you're like, oh, I really want a piece of bread. And you justify all the reasons, I've been really good today. I went to the gym twice. I totally can have it, right? I do that with chocolate. And I justify why oh my God, Lauren, you're so amazing, right? You went for a walk and went to the gym today. You can totally have that. It's fine, right? And you justify it, right? And you justify everything in this business. Oh, I don't need to be on that call because I was on it last week, and it'll just be the same content. Instead, take 100% responsibility, even if it's no, I can't be bothered. I can't be asked getting on it, right? You gotta be for your business, because you are the only determining factor that can change it. Because really, at the end of the day, yes, your upline sponsored you, but Jeffrey Birdie's upline quit 3 weeks after he sponsored him. Now, he could have justified and be like, oh, sorry, I can't be successful. But the man went and proved everyone wrong. And that's why he's the number 6 earner in all of network marketing across the world, in every company. So it's insane. So really, it is blame, shame, and justify game. You can either blame, shame, and justify and stay in your story and, stay in your little pity party, or in that moment, you can ask yourself, what is one thing that I can do right now to take self-responsibility for my business, and you can step above the line. And don't get me wrong, do I play above the line all the time? Hell no. Right? Do I still go into blame, shame, and justify? Of course. But really, we're not all perfect. We're human. Okay? Perfection is not attainable. Aim for progress every single day to be better than you were yesterday, to grow more, to do more, to have more, to get outside your safe zone, right? And take self-responsibility. And when you do that, then you can just take self-responsibility for everything in life.
You're a legend, my girl. I don't know whether you've seen all the comments, but I'll give you a couple of seconds just to kind of have a quick nosy through them, and I do try and save them as well. But yeah, absolutely, just exactly the reason I wanted everybody to get on the call. Incredibly beneficial. I love that. A couple of lines, there's so many lines from there, and I realize a lot of what I say, and I can see people laughing because a lot of what I say all the time is definitely a lot of what you've probably taught me. So that's cool. Probably from that, I don't know if you guys know, but I kind of kidnapped Lauren when she was in London last year after the Bournemouth convention. She was like, I'm going to Edinburgh, and I was like, why are you going to Edinburgh? Why did you come to Manchester? And so she just came and stayed for 2 days, and then ended up being 2 weeks. And you can see why. We just had Juice Plus Bootcamp in the house. We had Zoom calls and lives, and we talked everything Juice Plus. We travelled around. We did an event in Sheffield for Kate and her team, and went up to Newcastle and did some mindset mastery training. We just did all sorts in 2 weeks. It was just incredible. And this is why I wanted you guys to get on the call and to share some of this stuff with you, because things like, if you could do it, should you do it? That's just such a simple concept, but it's so if you can get on the call, should you get on the call? Yeah, of course. We've had this rant this morning, Lauren and I already, about people that have a million excuses about why they're not on the call. You guys are on it, so well done for that. But I don't miss anything. Like, I don't miss an event, I don't miss a call, I don't miss a training. I even still do John's, you know, how to get to STD training every week, because there'll be something in there every week that I think, well, if I might be making the, you know, faffing around and doing the dishes and stuff or whatever while I'm on it, but there might be one little thing that I haven't heard before, or one little thing that might remind me of something. And that's all about taking responsibility. And like, I just want to say a massive thank you for jumping on the call in your early morning for helping everybody, and like, so much content in there. I have recorded it, guys, so like, there's no way that I could write notes. I just wanted to listen to what you were saying. So much to learn. I just, like, guys, if you could just like say thanks to Lauren, put it in the comments, or I'll stick a post on Facebook later on and you can say thank you. But I couldn't do you justice by summarising it, so all I'm going to say is thank you massively for your time. I hope the future is good for you because it's Wednesday where you are, which freaks the hell out of me. I don't really understand that. Like, you've had your night and I haven't gone to bed yet.
Time's a funny, it's a funny concept. It's a weird concept. I'm just like, whatever.
I'm going to unspotlight you while I just do the last little bit, just so you can have a little see of who's on and stuff, because it's a struggle when you spotlight. But guys, thanks very much for sticking with us through the call. I know it was a bit of a long one, but it's really beneficial. I could literally listen. Everyone was like, I could listen to you all night, and I am exactly the same. Just so much content in there of stuff that is just, if you take nothing else out of that, guys, the one thing that I would take is you are responsible for you. Like, once you, and this is exactly what I did that helped me in my business all the way through, is take total responsibility for where you're at, for where you want to be, and get out of the blame and shame game and step right into the self-responsibility. And the minute you do that, the minute you take responsibility for everything in your team, everything in your business, and everything in your life, that'll be the time when things will start to change for you. The minute when you stop looking at everybody else and stop wondering about like what everybody else is doing and take total responsibility for where you're at and where you're going, you will definitely change that. And I know that that's exactly what, you know, Lauren taught me that, Linda taught me that. I already did it, but you lose sight of it sometimes. And that's okay. Don't waste your time beating yourself up about where you've been. Just use this call if you want to be your physical line in the sand. And Lauren, I know you do this. Didn't you go down to the beach and like draw a line in the sand and physically walk over it? I remember you telling me that story, to like physically walk over and leave all the BS and stuff behind. So I love that. Right, guys, it's really late here, so I'm going to let you guys get to bed. Thank you so much, Lauren. Have enjoyed your PT session. I'm really, really grateful for your time, not just now, but always. Thank you so much. I'll see you later, guys. I'm going to unmute you so you can say goodbye.
Bye.
Hold on, let me unmute everybody. There we go. You're all unmuted. Say bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Woohoo.
Love it. That was the best I've ever seen, to be honest.